Hello guys, it's your boy Jas, and I'm here to make a quick rundown on how to use the new weapon selection system on a little short video. I'm gonna try and cover the basics mainly, so that you can just use it more easily, because I did see some people being confused about it. So I'm gonna make a rundown first of the old system. Old system, you have your spool up, your spool missile keys that now are not working because the AIM-97s are the ones that are selected. So right now I cannot switch them. What I have to do now is obtain a radar lock on this vehicle. Then I can use my spool up key, and then I use my fire air-to-air missile key. All system rundown. Everyone already knows how this works basically. And with the new system, what changes is you can select every individual weapon you're gonna use, but there's a catch, kind of. You can only select a primary weapon selection and a secondary weapon selection. So, primary weapons, what are they? Cannons, machine guns, any default weapons per se that and pretty much any vehicle will have. Secondary weapons go for what's counted mostly as ordnance, as air-to-air missiles, rockets, bombs, and pretty much anything else that covers AGMs and stuff. Now, if I wanted to fire an AIM-9J instead of an AIM-7, I mean, my bad. What I would like to do is the next: how to work on the new. How to work on the new system. Basically, there are three important things you have to use. The first are the fire, primary, and secondary. I have primary selected mostly because when you engage the system, it will deactivate your old settings of small caliber and large caliber. So basically, this work like they work in parallel to the old system, which is the one that you used to have, and it moves all weaponry to this new mode. You can switch between the two, but I'm gonna cover how to do that later. Alright, so you have to select fire primary weapons, fire secondary weapons. This does not trigger the system though. This is only once the system is triggered, you can use the fire. And a good thing is that you can have these buttons on top of the old ones. For example, I have my fire air-to-air missile on the same button as the fire secondary weapon. So if I wanted to use, for example, if I was on the MiG-21 as an example, I could select between secondary weapons and use the same button. I wouldn't have to use separate like I used for fire rocket and fire air-to-air missile. Now, that's first thing. Fire primary weapons, you're gonna have a selection of your cannons / machine guns or whatever main armament you have. Your secondary weapons are gonna be what I already described: rockets, missiles, everything else, bombs, stuff. Now, the trigger and the activation. What triggers the use of the system is the switch primary and secondary. Primary, the secondary will activate each other no matter. So like, it's not like you can use let's say for example you don't have a key selected for firing primary weapons and you try to use the same key. For example, use the click to fire your cannon. You're not going to be able to use it unless you have it selected on the same button, for example. So, both work at the same time. Primary and secondary are working at the same time, so you have to put a key for that. It's very important. Now, once you have selected a switch secondary weapons, I will very, very highly recommend for you to put an exit selected weapon mode in case you want to go to the old mode. Let's say you wanted to dogfight. You don't want to deal with different kinds of ammunition, for example. So, what I want to do is I press my switch secondary weapons, and you're gonna see a little arrow goes right next to the alt indicator for your air-to-air ordnance, for example, in the Phantom. Now, I press the switch again. It is gonna switch me, as you can see here, to the AIM-9Js. Now, a good thing, you can use the same spool button on both. Apparently that works on both of them. for air-to-air missiles per se. So you see, I can do the same. That doesn't switch with the old and new system. Now that I have my M9J selected, I can lose the lock. I can just fire the missile, and away it goes. And bye. Now if I want to switch again to the AIM-7, no, to the AIM-7s, I mean, my bad. What I will have to do is this. Just press the switch, secondary weapons. Okay. And if I wanted to go to the old system, I press my exit weapon selection system. The one that was on top of the switch, primaries and secondaries. So, there it is. Back in the old system. Now, opening up. With a bit of ordnance, it's gonna be the same thing basically. So if I wanted to farm ordnance, I press the select secondary weapons. It's gonna have a switch between the bombs and the missiles, you see. But only one type of secondary weapon can be selected at the same time, and it's gonna use the same key you use for all of them. So if I had the bombs and I press the fire secondary, it's gonna fire the bombs. If I switch it to the M9Js, it's gonna only fire the Js with the same key. Alright, maybe I'm a little bit to the side of this bot that it's gonna die a painful death. Nothing else is gonna fire. If I switch it to the AIM-97s, let me just and if I want to just drop all my bombs on the old system, you know, I just deactivate it, just for ditching them, and I use my old key that I used to use. And if I wanna go and reactivate it, I click the switch selected weapon mode, I obtain my radar lock, I spool my sparrows, I fire my sparrow, and that's how it runs out. Oh. Okay. Okay, it did die. It just stopped being visible. Okay. So, another thing I want to quickly cover. First off, there's gonna be, for example, bombers. Let's cover the water that I don't have, but I can show it for the sake of, you know, showing it. It can carry different types of ordnance. So here it probably has, okay, it has 10 bombs. You can only see 2 on the wings. That's because it has an internal carousel for them. A thing you can actually do is select between the carousel and external bombs. Those are selected different. There are gonna be vehicles that you're not gonna be able to select what bombs you drop or not. This one specifically can. But not every single vehicle can. So you gotta investigate yourself for that. Not every vehicle is gonna be the same. Another thing that's gonna be very useful for example, let's go to the good old F-84G. Now we all know it's a pain in the ass because you have to spawn it in and drop all of your H-bars because they're pretty much useless. Now what you can do is you go on and, you know, usually I'm able to just fire this. But what I can do is come and press the switch secondary weapons, and now I can actually switch it to the H-bars and the time team. So I can actually, you know, terrorize this village over here. Let's say there's a family that just moved in and I want it dead because I don't like them. I think they're shitty people and I just, you know, rocket them out. And I still have my H-wards to go and, you know, cause mayhem in the city. It automatically will switch it. If you empty, it switches in between the cycles, so you may want to check what you're gonna be firing though. You have to have that in mind, but overall it's also useful for the situations. Let's say I'm causing havoc in this village because, you know, I don't like these people. They are mean to me once, and I don't have mercy for them. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I'm just a messenger. So yeah, It's fairly useful. One downside that I could say is, for example, I usually, and this is specifically to me, but it may apply to other people, I usually have a, as you can see, small caliber on the mouse and large caliber space. This plane I used to always fly it, and since it only has machine guns, I'll use the click to fire. If I come in and click to fire, it's not gonna fire because I only have the 4 primary weapons on my space, which is my cannon button. So that's gonna be a case where it could complicate a little bit. Usually when you're running just regular dogfights and you just want to use, and you just don't have AIM-7s, or you're using MiG-21 for example only with R6s, I'll recommend stick to the older system, since it will be easier. If I deactivate it, I can use my click again, no problem. As if I had it on, I'm gonna have to use my space key to fire my primaries. That's gonna be one of the cases. It's gonna really depend on how you're comfortable with using your setup for keys for different weapon types. But that's really the gist of it. It's a very interesting addition. The fact that you can actually like stack keys and the only triggers are the select or the switch weapon. So yeah, it's quite useful. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, alright, I think that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you for your time. Hopefully it will cover all of your doubts. If not, just pop me a message and I will most likely answer it to you. And you know, have a great night, not like this poor Soviet pilot.